One of our greatest covers, I say, was the policy that says that UFOs didn't exist. If ever it didn't exist, there was no crash. If there was no crash, there was no material. Nobody could investigate us because there was no such thing.
Right.
And we played that up. We moved that ahead. But the more the debunkers screamed, the more better we liked it. They're doing the disinformation for us.
I got a question. I don't know if you remember this or not, but did Colonel Corso ever talk about bodies from the Roswell crash?
He did. He told me a story that he had seen a body. I'm trying to remember where it was. Fort Riley, Kansas, maybe? That it was in a hangar. And I'm trying to remember it. I haven't seen this material in a while, but I think it was at Fort Riley, Kansas, in a hangar there is where he saw an alien body. He also told a story about being at White Sands, New Mexico, at that base, and being out in the desert and meeting an alien, and a live alien in a cave, who gave him a message, something to the effect of, it's a new world if you can take it, or if you can keep it, something like that.
The distance between you and this being?
About from here to the front of the motorhome.
Well, that's like 10 feet?
Yeah. The skin is scaly.
Right.
Now, if you go back to the days of the Sumerians, they call them IGIGIS. They say they were ferry drivers, is what they are. The real ones up there, motherships. Now, no one's ever explored the Sumerian. Sitkin wrote this. Nobody's ever explored the Sumerian civilization. I think the key is there. They disappeared after a while. I think the Sumerians maybe were the mothership. And they tried to wipe out the human race, in those days. But anyway, you got to go back in history and see the Sumerians, what they say. And they called them IGIGIS, IGIGIS.
You think they were manufactured for space travel or time travel or something?
Well, I think they were manufactured as servants. Now, my theory is, what do they want? Here, do they want a new race? Because one of the strangest things, as far as I'm concerned, is on these mutilations, they took the sex organs. And the nearest thing to a human sex organ are cattle sex organs. And by the way, they cut those with a type of laser cutter, which didn't even cut through the cells.
Cut around them, yeah.
It cut around the cells. That's how perfect it was.
The Sumerian texts that reference the IGIGI revolt against the Anunnaki are primarily found in various myths and epics, particularly in the Enuma Elish and the Epic of Eterosis. The IGIGI were considered the younger gods, often depicted as laborers for the older Anunnaki deities. The revolt is said to have occurred due to the harsh working conditions imposed on the IGIGI, leading them to rise up against their elders. They demanded relief from their burdens, which ultimately resulted in the creation of humanity to serve the gods instead. The IGIGI grew increasingly discontent with their overwhelming workload. They felt exploited and burdened by the demands placed upon them by the Anunnaki, who enjoyed the fruits of their labor without contributing. Unlike the Anunnaki, who had remained on the way station orbiting above Earth on their large pyramid-shaped craft rotating above and below the lower gravitational pull of the planet, they had luxury and rest areas and women and food and entertainment and enjoy most the comfort of home from an expeditionary force. The IGIGI had landed on the planet and set up large labor camps and massive mining areas deep within the veins of the Earth to extract the gold. Much of the work proved fatal to the bio-android clones they had brought with them and could replicate them with speed. They did not care for these bio-androids as they only lasted a week deep within the mines before the acid and vapors render the bio-androids unless a new batch would be cocooned out from the chambers and implanted with orders of obedience and programmed to take up the task of their fallen comrades deep within the hot pit's lava heat of near the core of the Earth as gold is extracted. While the IGIGIs labored in the hot planet below with hard labor and faced deadly bacterial and diseases and wildlife, the work was hard extracting gold even with the advanced drilling and boring equipment they had brought with them. They are operating deep within the Earth crust. Their heat-absorbing shield can withstand the temperature, however their biological android had their limits. With even the protective clothing and advanced mask these bio-android have, they could only withstand a few weeks before they needed to be discarded and grew a new batch of bio-androids, which would require the IGIGI to harvest from the planet, some infusion proteins and amino acids from the planet. As months have passed, the IGIGI, tired and frustrated by the hard labor and work that was governed and dictated to them by the Anunnakis' desire for freedom, as their frustrations grew, the IGIGI began to desire autonomy and relief from their arduous tasks. This dissatisfaction culminated in a collective decision to revolt. The IGIG placed a trap for the Anunnaki. Enili, the leader of the expedition forced to Earth, had a place he gathered to meet with the IGIGIS for monthly report on the collection of gold quantity amount that has been extracted in new areas they were conducting prospects, but this time the IGIGIS took up arms and tools. They boarded their ships and ordered their bio-androids to also gather weapons and crew their ships, booster their number. The IGIGI had months to build and prepare. They bored deep into the earth and into the mountains, built new spacecrafts and hid them within the ocean depths, and surrounded the fortress Enili had built while he visited Earth. On the day of Enlil's visit to Earth, like always, he had been accustomed to these types of visits for some time now and had not suspected anything to go astray. Enlil, drawn on his battle armor, and gathered his away crew with him, escorted by his personal bodyguards and escorts guards, which were the vanguards, the most battle-hardened warriors, genetically altered to be stronger, faster and more aggressive, and have regenerating abilities if wounded. They are also equipped and infused with bio-nano-robotic technology which allows them to be superior. They entered into the ship not by door or hatch but by materialization. No hatches needed, as each one of the Anunnakis were wearing a wristband that allows them to materialize by thought to any location they desire within the range of 1,000 kilometers. As Enlil's escorts and guards' planetary ships now leaves the mothership, they descended over Earth, flanked to his vanguard come down from the colossal space station above Earth, which resembles a pyramid, but it was a giant floating city. Slowly they descend down to Earth, come closer to a magnificent palace made of crystal and stone. The Anunnakis guard set 7 ships in air to stay hovered over the palace, and the main escort crafts landed. The palace was built by the IGIG's workforce for Enlil while he was on Earth. Carving of his statue and emblem adored the palace. Enlil and the other Anunnakis, they materialized into the palace, and 7 ships hovered in zigzag motions to scout and observe and guard the surrounding area, keeping constant watch for trouble. Enlil and the other Anunnakis made themselves at home, and they began to get ready for the arrival of the IGIGIS. One of the escort ships gets a signal from the orbital mothership saying they have picked up the IGIGI ships heading to them from the South America and Africa and Middle East areas. Altogether looks a sizable fleet of ships, 80 in total. The escort ship telepathically alerted Enlil that the IGIGs are close. They have sent 3 ships to escort them from each direction they are coming from. Enlil, thinking to himself, must have been a good harvest this month. The IGIGI slaves bought within massive quantity of gold to require this many ships. As the 3 ships moved with a flicker of a knife from stationary, they hit Mark 40, which is 49,392 kmp, to join up with the IGIG ships at each intersecting point. However, this was a trap. The IGIGI had been waiting for the signal to begin their revolt. Soon the orbital mothership telepathically links up with Enlil and informs him. "So we have a serious problem. It looks like we have multiple capital ship class coming towards us from the planet Jupiter. They are vectoring into our location. Will be here in 5 minutes. They remain cloaked, unable to hail or determine their origins." Enili orders them to launch fighters to guard the space station from any attack and to activate their static field, which renders their mothership partially in this reality and the next phasing in and out. It's a defensive posture that they use so no psychical or solid projectile can hit them, but the downside, it doesn't allow the Anunnakis from the away team to materialize into their mothership, as the phasing would also stop solid projectiles, also stops bioatomic structure from reconfiguring during the materialization process. Also, Enili is stuck on Earth for now. The ships sent to escort the IGIGI came under attack before the Anunnaki pilots could react. The IGIG bio-android ship began to attack them. Fierce combat ensured the skies. The Anunnaki's ships were overwhelmed above the skies of Earth. Bio-android ships that were supposed to be filled with gold, but the IGIGIS had prepared. They re-outfitted their cargo ships, which is now outfitted with particle beam cannons and troops, to land in Enlil's palace. The ships rose from the great depths of the oceans now surrounding the palace, and made fast work of the remaining ships that remain above Enlil's palace. The IGIGI now surrounded the palace with many ships and many bio-androids that sprang from Earth and skies and oceans. Enlil outnumbered, broker a truce with the IGIGIS and gave in to the demands of the IGIG, demands to which Enlil will create a new workforce that will do the hardship work on Earth. We are the Yale Shilanaia.